Good evening, a warm welcome to you. This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguela. President Muhammadu Buhari has described the sudden demise of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, and the other gallant officers of the nation's military as a major setback in the renewed onslaught against terrorism and other acts of criminality bedeviling the country. The president stated this while receiving members of the Nigerian Governors Forum on a condolence visit over the tragedy that befell the nation.
It happened at a time when the security situation in the country is a fundamental issue. And to lose such a choice officers just increase our problems. But we know what we are in for, we know what we have promised within the time and circumstances under which we find ourselves. We continue to do our best.
Chairman, Nigerian Governors Forum and Governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, who led the delegation, told the president that the governors were saddened that the officers died when the military started to feel the impact of its new leadership.
This is a major blow, but we also know that you are unrelenting in your commitment to ensuring peace and security in our country. It's unfortunate, the losses we have suffered. We pray to God Almighty that He will grant them eternal rest and give their families the fortitude to bear this unfortunate loss. And our country, yet another resolve to continue along the path that Lieutenant General Attahiru and his colleague have already started toying. Because for us, we must defeat banditry, we must defeat insurgency, we must defeat criminality in all of its ramifications.
The governors appreciated the president for assuring the nation that families of the departed gallant officers are adequately taken care of and protected. Well, the 3 days prayers for the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, and others who died in the recent air crash has been held at the official residence of the Army Chief in the Niger Barracks here in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
It is now 3 days after the demise of the late Army Chief. Sympathizers from far and near converge on Abuja to observe the 3-day prayer for the repose of the soul of Nigeria's late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, and others who died in Friday's air mishap in Kaduna. The Director of Islamic Affairs, Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Shehu Mustafa, was joined by other clerics of the Islamic faith to offer prayers for the eternal rest of the fallen heroes and grant brave family comfort.
We gather here to pray for him and his entourage, seeking Allah's forgiveness for him and his entourage. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them entrance into paradise. And we also pray for their families, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to be with them and guide them, protect them anywhere they may find themselves.
Only but for a moment.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, described the death of the Army Chief as a national tragedy and assures Nigerians that the military remain resolute in its mandate.
I admonished every officer and personnel of the armed forces to take courage, to rise in faith. Our spirit remains unmovable, unshakable.
So we pray that the Almighty Allah forgive them their sins, their shortcomings as human beings.
The prayer was attended by top military officers, government officials and notable personalities. From the Niger Barracks in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Similarly, Fidel prayer for the repose of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, has been held in Kaduna. Haruna Mohammed reports that the Chief Imam of 1 Division Nigerian Army, Colonel Usman Musa, led other Islamic scholars in the prayer.
Islamic scholars, sympathizers, and associates, including the General Officer commanding 1st Nigerian Army, converged on the family house of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, Sedona Crescent, Kaduna, for his third-day fidal prayer. The scholars, led by the Imam of 1 Division Nigerian Army, Colonel Usman Musa, took turn to pray for the repose of the soul of the deceased Chief of Army Staff. They prayed Allah grant him and other gallant officers who died in the Kaduna plane crash Al-Jannah Firdaus.
We are greatly pained by what has happened. Nobody can question the will of Allah. It is destined to happen, and it has happened. Allah knows best. Nothing happens without his knowledge. Nothing happens without his permission. And as the saying goes, everyone has his appointed day.
He's been quite a very good person, very, very good person. And I know him to be very generous. He's one person that does his good deeds in discreet, without attracting attention at all. And I know him as a professional, a very good soldier to the core.
He's somebody who keeps us together, and he keeps us as one family. So it's a very sad loss to us.
We really miss him. I cannot tell you how we miss this General Atahiru.
Late Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru died at the age of 55 and survived by a wife and 3 children. In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed, NTA News. Also, guest on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria, while paying tribute to the late Chief of Army Staff and other fallen heroes, advocates sustained onslaught and renewed vigor to win the fight against insurgency so that the supreme price paid by the military officers will not be in vain. The security experts note that the visionary leadership and determination of the late Army Chief to end terrorism and banditry in the country were evident, even though he spent barely 4 months in office. Leader Samson reports.
Visibly a gallant officer, a team player, and his resolve to change the security narrative was his motivation, and he did not mince words in soliciting the buy-in of all. The security expert says led to the changing of Operation Lafia Doli to Operation Hiding Kai, a clear philosophical message that the fight against insurgency is collective. Alas, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, the late Chief of Army Staff, did not live to complete or see the strategies he put in place yield the much desired results.
Energy, he had the drive, and he had the passion to do what he was given. He was doing everything he could to excel and to make sure that he put this situation behind him. And I'm sure if he were alive, you would have started seeing positive changes.
What General Atahiru tried to do is to bring the military closer to the people. In other words, get the buy-in of the local population. And the importance of this is in intelligence, where the local population, the people are able to feel the pulse of the military, understand what the military is doing, then they will be able to support the generation of intelligence. And I think it's absolutely important. The statement made by General Irabo and whoever it is that is going to take over should understand the value of this.
As national flags are flown at half-mast and the nation still mourning, the security experts called for implementation of the strategies of the late Chief of Army Staff and other brilliant officers on his team who paid the supreme price and died in active service. They said this is the only national tribute that will prove they did not die in vain. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Well, more condolences as the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, condoled with the wife of the late Chief of Army Staff, Fati Atahiru, her family members and the Nigerian Armed Forces over the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, as well as 10 other gallant officers who died in a plane crash in Kaduna on Friday. The First Lady described their death as a great loss to the nation. Let's hear more from State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by the members of her family, as well as the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talin, the Director General, National Center for Women Development, Asebe Vilita Bashir, and the APC National Women Representative of the Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Stella Okotete, and other top Nigerian women, paid a condolence visit to the wife of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, describing his death as a national tragedy. While sympathizing and consoling with his wife, Pati Atahiru, and other members of the family, the First Lady said the selfless service of the late Chief of Army Staff and other gallant officers who died along with him will not be in vain, and pray to God to grant them eternal rest and give the entire family the fortitude to bear the loss.
Her Excellency consoled with the entire family, and she prays that the wife and children, God will give them the fortitude to accept what we cannot change. May Allah consult all of us.
And this loss is just not for the family, not for the Nigerian Armed Forces, but the whole of Nigeria. And we pray for Almighty Allah to repose the souls of the departed. Watching some of his programs, he was always so passionate about ensuring that we overcome the insecurity, banditry, kidnapping and terrorism that we are currently facing as a nation.
We mourn with the whole Nigeria. This is the time that Nigeria needs these gallant men. Unfortunately, they have left us at the time that we need them most.
The First Lady assured the family of her full support and the support of the entire Nigerian women in this trying period, and urged them to take solace in the fact that they have died as heroes while protecting the territorial integrity of the country. In Abuja, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
As the nation continues to mourn the death of the 11 officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Armed Forces who died in a plane crash on Friday, the Minister of Defense, General Bashir Salihi Magashi, has paid a condolence visit to the family of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, at Niger Barracks in Abuja. Condoling the bereaved family, the Minister of Defense prayed for the repose of the souls of the departed officers and soldiers. In the same vein, the wife of the Vice President, Dolapo Oshibajo, who joined the minister in the residence, expressed sympathy to the bereaved family and prayed for God's mercy on the souls of the departed. On the minister's entourage are the Chief of Defense Staff and the 2 service chiefs of the Navy and the Air Force. Flags are flying at half-mast in public buildings and government facilities in Awka, we hear. The Anambra State capital in compliance with directives by the federal government to honor Nigeria's late Chief of Army Staff and 10 others in a military plane crash. Joy Lagu reports.
National flags at most public buildings and facilities within the Awka metropolis were lowered to half-mast in compliance with the presidential directive.
It is not often that a nation loses its top military brass in one fell swoop. It was a shock. It is enough disaster to throw Nigeria into mourning.
You wouldn't count the first 6, 7 in the country without him being there. And knowing that he was a national assignment when the tragedy occurred, I think it's proper.
As a mark of respect for the dead, he deserves it, because death, in the Igbo land, we respect death, no matter what.
The directive, which commenced on Monday, 24th May, is in honor of the memory and services of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, as well as 10 senior military and service members who lost their lives in a military plane crash on Friday, 21st May 2021. Although some offices are yet to comply, the flags are, however, expected to continue to fly at half-mast until Wednesday, 26th May 2021. In Awka, Joy Iluebu, NTA News.
All right, let's make it stop at Ibadan as we join Larry to continue for us. Larry.
Good to see you, Ruth, and welcome to Ibadan. Most offices and public buildings in Ilorin, Kwara State today flew their flags at half-mast in honor of late Chief of Army Staff and others who lost their lives in a plane crash last Friday. Raliat Ibrahim has details.
Following the unfortunate incident that led to the death of Chief of Army Staff and 10 others, President Muhammadu Buhari directed that flags be flown at half-mast to honor the deceased and recognize their sacrifice and service to the nation. While most public buildings and offices in the Ilorin capital of Kwara State complied with this directive, some did not. The gesture, many say, is a way of showing respect to the departed and reminding all of their sacrifices and heroism.
Everybody who died rights for this nation should be respected, should be celebrated. So giving them that as is the little the government can do, because they cannot be brought back to life. No amount of money can be given to the family that can equate the life of that have died. So let us just show it to them that the country loves them and the people feel the pains of their departure.
To appreciate him, to show that we care for the departed soul. I think it's a welcome development.
They paid the supreme price and they deserve it. In fact, they deserve more than that. So we should give them the honor.
According to the statement signed by the Secretary to the Federal Government, Boss Mustafa, the directive is from May 24th to Wednesday, May 26th. Also in compliance with the presidential directive is the military base in Ilorin, which had a work-free day in honor of the departed Chief of Army Staff and others. Raliat Ibrahim, NTA News.
Youths in the country have been advised to rise up to the challenges of today. This was the consensus of opinions in Ilorin. Correspondent Damilola Balogun Elebio completes the report.
Aside from a whopping large percent of the Nigerian population, the youth, or the socio-economic base of any nation, hence considered the future of the nation. So it is not out of place to hold leadership trainings for the future leaders. This is why a body known as the Lead Generation Initiative is committed towards building a new generation of leaders who will take active responsibility within their various communities through active participation in socio-political process. Training no doubt spurred the leadership instinct in some of the youths.
The training will go a long way in our state, and they will go back to their various local government and impart the same knowledge.
Leadership, it entails a lot of things that we need to learn every day. So the program was very, very powerful.
Participants were drawn from the 16 local government areas of the state. Damilola Balogun Elebio, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide on the network service of NTA. More reports in Lagos, where Adiola Kwame Akere is standing by.
My name is Boss Mustafa, the Secretary to the Government and the Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. I've just had the rare privilege of taking my first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and I can tell you that we are doing very well in terms of our response and the administration of the vaccines all over the country. As strategic leaders, we are supposed to lead by example, and the President did precisely that on Saturday with the Vice President, and we are continuing in that particular direction. The essence of taking these vaccines is to help us really fight this COVID-19 virus, and the combination of the non-pharmaceutical measures and the vaccine is the way to go in 2021 and thereafter.
Visit our website on www.nta.ng for more news and updates, or follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News. Stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.
Center for Ethical Rebirth Among Nigerian Youth, Sereni, launches the 2021 National Youth Conference on Drug Abuse. Theme: recognizing the nexus between drug abuse and insecurity and the need for urgent collaboration between the youth and government in the task of securing the nation. Date: June 22, 2021. Venue: International Conference Center, Abuja. Time: 9 a.m. prompt. Conference Chairman: Retired Major General IBM Haruna. Speakers: Retired Brigadier General Mohammed Marwa. Executive Chairman NDLEA Mr. Olive Stupi, Country Representative, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Mr. Abe Tako, India High Commissioner to Nigeria, and Professor Udenta Odenta, renowned author. Signed, Chuks Akamado, President, Serani. Supported by Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Thank you for staying on to Nationwide News.
Now, a drug baron is providing necessary information as regards the trafficking of cocaine worth over 8 billion naira, and for an attempt to bribe officers of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Muritala Mohammed International Airport Command with a sum of $24,500 to compromise the investigation. Commander Amadou Garba said the suspect ran out of luck following the proactive response of officers of the airport command. Abolade Salami reports.
The consignment of hard drugs, consisting of 36 blocks weighing over 27 kilograms of cocaine, allegedly arrived at the Muritala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, from Gru, Brazil, via Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on the Ethiopia Airline flight. The suspect behind the Lagos consignment is Jeffo Felix Nweriaku, who is based in Brazil, and his alleged gang specialized in planting drugs in the luggage of innocent air travelers. One of the tagged luggage was disclaimed and impounded by operatives of the agency. In the course of investigations, it was discovered that illicit substances were stocked in the luggage, and the suspects attempted to bribe his way out with a sum of $24,500 paid in 3 tranches.
Using more proactive measures to make sure that we target incoming passengers and know who we should actually waste time on. So now we have better time to do control because the number of passengers are less than the full capacity of the airport. It gives us more time. It's an intelligence-led posture now that we've taken is really helping us to make sure that we get what we plan to get.
The suspect is currently being interrogated on tactics applied during operations.
So just my friend called me that I should help him and do it. It's not my business. I don't deal on it. I don't deal on it. But, I can see it's not a good something because anything drug is not good.
Because I don't know that Igbo will lead me into this place.
While the commitment and dexterity of officers involved in the arrest have been commended by the chairman of the agency, he challenged the personnel to intensify efforts in the war against drug trafficking. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Now let's talk about fighting corruption in procurement process. It is on record that most cases of fraud start from the process of procurement. But to change the trend, the Bureau of Public Procurement is incorporating more officers into the procurement cadre as a way of ensuring that public funds are not misplaced or misappropriated. At the commencement of a 2-week training in Lagos, the agency reiterates its reward plan for adherence to principle of integrity, transparency and accountability. Michael Olaleye reports.
It is a call to duty for these 300 prospective procurement officers as their diligent service is required to change the tide of procurement by injecting integrity into the practice. Director General, Bureau of Public Procurement, Maman Amadou, in his message to the training, described the conversion program as the starting points to getting it right and harmonizing specific government programs, putting into consideration the crucial role of procurement in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030.
If procurement officers can know what it takes and know how to have or achieve value for money in contracting processes, we would have been able to use scarce resources very well, and the savings will be deployed for more infrastructure development.
We have seen the gradual reduction in terms of how procurement is conducted. There's more openness, there is more awareness. Now you see adverts in the Federal Tenders Journal and newspapers across the country.
To be aware of the potholes.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, lauded the consistency of the 13-year-old procurement program, which is key in the quest to rid the country of corruption.
Blocking the leakages is the first thing, and automatically what has been realized, which will have been stolen fraudulently, will have been channeled for other public benefits.
The Bureau, through the development of e-government procurement system and establishment of 3 additional centers of excellence in sustainable procurement, is aggressively implanting the culture of transparency and accountability in the procurement process in Nigeria. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
We now hand you over back to Abuja for more on Nationwide with Ruth.
All right, welcome back. Let's bring you an update on COVID-19. 40 new COVID-19 infections have been recorded nationwide within the last 24 hours, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 166,019. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control records shows that among the new infections, Lagos has 29, Abia and Ogun have 3 cases each, Kano 2, while Kaduna, Plateau and Rivers recorded 1 case each. Active cases nationwide stand at 7,476. Total discharged so far are 156,476, while the death toll remains 2,067. The federal government has declared 90 travelers who recently visited or arrived from India, Turkey and Brazil as potential health hazards to the society for violating Nigeria's COVID-19 travel protocols and evading the mandatory 7-day quarantine for persons arriving from restricted countries. The Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, in a statement signed by its chairman and secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, listed the violators as persons of interest who pose considerable danger to public health. They comprise 63 Nigerians, 26 Indians and 1 Danish citizen who arrived to Nigeria through the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, and Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, between May 8 and 15, 2021, with Ethiopian Airline and Qatar Airways flights. The PSC says the violators must, within 48 hours of this notice, transport themselves safely to the nearest state public health departments for immediate evaluation and also call the Port Health Services, Federal Ministry of Health, for further directions. While urging Nigerians to beware of the affected persons, the PSC says further sanctions, including a travel ban on their passports for 1 year, cancellation of visas or permits of defaulting foreigners, as well as prosecution, will be carried out. The administration of the second dose of AstraZeneca vaccine has commenced in Nasarawa State, with Governor Abdullahi Sule taking the lead. Aliyu Tijani Mohammed reports.
Among those that took the second jab of AstraZeneca vaccine were Governor Abdullahi Sule, State Deputy Governor Emmanuel Akabi, among other top government officials. All other persons who took the first jab earlier in the year are also expected to take the second dose so as to complete the full cycle of the COVID-19 vaccine. Governor Sule appealed to the people in the state to dispel any conspiracy about the vaccine and avail themselves to be vaccinated as it is safe.
I have just taken my second dosage, which I understand is the booster. I again want to encourage all those who have taken the first dosage that we understand we have not received any negative report from anybody, which means indeed this is safe, and I'm encouraging our dear people of Nasarawa State, to get ready and take the second dosage, just like the first dosage. This is just going to be the second.
Nasarawa State had earlier received more than 60,000 doses of the vaccine for the first dose. In Lafia, Aliyu Tijani Mohammed, NTA News.
And more from the health scene, the Cross River State government has exposed expectant mothers to dangers of patronizing traditional birth attendants and the need to utilize services of skilled birth attendants at registered hospitals and health centers. Paul Eber reports that this advice, which is coming from women in the state, if strictly adhered to, will reduce the rate of maternal and infant mortality during this period of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country.
If
motherhood encompasses a series of initiatives, practices, protocols, and service delivery guidelines designed to ensure that women receive high-quality gynecological evaluation, family planning, prenatal, delivery, and postpartum care in order to achieve optimal health care for the mother, fetus, and infant during pregnancy. The gathering of these women by the Cross River State government is in fulfillment of the global target to reduce maternal mortality.
They have not experienced this kind of privilege I'm seeing today, so I'm so excited.
They have taught us a lot on how to take care of ourselves before, during, and after childbirth.
The guest speaker, government officials, WHO, and other support agencies were unanimous in their submissions on the responsibility of all major players to ensure the safety of mother and child.
A situation that you have free healthcare service delivery, where everybody has an insurance policy, most people will go on time to the hospital.
We want to be able to increase the number of skilled birth attendants by 80% in Cross River State. We're doing this by ensuring that there is a health insurance scheme in place.
In between the period of conception and delivery, they can do themselves a world of good by putting aside small money of their own to help them at the time of delivery.
That means you must not go to either.
The expectant mothers were presented with delivery packs at the event. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
All right, let's stop at Benin. Obehi is set to guide us for more reports. Obehi.
Hello, Ruth. Thank you for joining us here in Benin. Ahead of this year's Children's Day celebration, the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA Edo State Chapter, has organized a webinar on child development. The guest lecturer, Zonal Director, NTA Benin Network Center, Pauline Igbano, focused on the impact of supervised access to information on young children. Ifoma Kafo reports.
This year's Children's Day celebration, which has as its theme unites to reverse the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on children, is reminding the society that the future depends on young people, therefore calls for all hands on deck for the development of children. The Zonal Director, NTA Benin Network Center, is a member of FIDA, presenting a paper virtually on the role of media in child development. She believes that the media is like a teacher that a child can learn from, but it is imperative that to avoid being exposed to contents that will negatively affect their behavior, parents, caregivers, and guardians are equipped in order to guide the young minds.
We have a lot of adverts now on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, all manner of things. And some for regular television, alcohol, tobacco for instance, cannot be shown before 10 p.m. Those adverts too cannot run adjacent to children's program. Those people cannot become sponsors of children's program. But these are things you cannot enforce on the internet. So it is important that you know the sites that your child goes to.
The questions session also gave the participants the opportunity to ask questions on gray areas. Children are advised to always observe COVID-19 safety measures to avoid contracting the disease. In Benin, Ifoma Okafo, NTA News.
And still on the development of the younger generation, the need for young girls to avoid whatever could subject them to sexual harassment and be knowledgeable about overcoming challenges associated with female reproductive cycle have been stressed. This came to the fore at a sensitization program for secondary school students held at Ifaki Ekiti. Kehinde Durodola has details.
Sexual violence has become a daily occurrence, especially among adolescents within the age of 14 to 19, bringing the development to the consciousness of young girls and ways to prevent being a victim of sexual harassment was the focus as resource persons sensitized the adolescents. They were taught the various forms of sexual violence which include rape, child molestation, child exploitation, among others, and cautioned girls to desist from improper dressing and avoid keeping information to themselves.
We have to be advocates against sexual violence, and perpetrators too, they have to be brought to book, and the victims as well, they need to rehabilitate them, reorientate them.
The challenges facing many adolescents during menstruation period were emphasized as the resource persons identified personal hygiene as a key to overcome.
When we discipline ourselves, we can prevent that. And when we dress properly, you can prevent that. Learns a lot how to count our menstrual period.
Many of our students will not be molested or be fall victim of being raped because they will know how to protect themselves.
Participants expressed the belief that they are better informed on the means of guiding against sexual molestation-related challenges in the society. From Ado-Ekiti, Kendi Drodola, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja.
Assets the country has at the moment, it is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support, yes, by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
It's the dawn of a new era on NTA's flagship program, the Sports Parliament, revitalized with lots of varieties, including feedback responses from viewers. Sports Parliament, the weekly sports show that exposes all the intrigues in the Nigerian sports sector and projects an agenda on the way forward for Nigerian sports. On NTA every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. running for 1 whole hour discussing sports. The parliamentarians are more committed than ever to enlighten the viewers as the Sports Parliament takes it to a whole new level on the floor of the House. Keep a date with the Sports Parliament as motions are moved every Thursday on the floor of the House. Mr. Speaker, with his gavel to harmonize sports resolutions. The House have it.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News, and also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live. Right, welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. Reports just reaching us says following further to the directive of the President, Muhammadu Buhari, for the national flag to fly half-mast nationwide from 24th to 26th May 2021, and declaration of today, that is Monday 24th, 2021, as work-free day for members of the armed forces. The President has also directed that the Federal Executive Council meeting scheduled to hold on Wednesday 26th May 2021 be postponed to Wednesday 2nd June 2021. Similarly, the Police Council meeting, which was earlier scheduled for Thursday 27th May 2021, be postponed to Thursday 3rd June 2021 in honor of the memory of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and 10 other senior military officers and servicemen. President Muhammadu Buhari urges all citizens to use this period of mourning to pray for the repose of the souls of the departed and strength for the family to bear the painful loss. All right, let's head to Kaduna now, and Salamatu is set to guide us.
Thank you for joining us here, Ruth, and a warm welcome. The Independent National Electoral Commission is to ensure the sanctity of citizens' right to vote in the 2023 general elections by implementing robust strategy on voter registration ahead of the elections. This came to the fore during a two-day workshop on review of the 2017-2018 nationwide continuous voters registration holding in Kano, with participants from 18 states of the North and FCT. Johannes Hassanborough has the details.
Although the electoral process in Nigeria has been improved with the introduction of electronic card reader to ensure more transparent elections, that is not without some peculiar challenges. Failure of the devices to promptly and effectively verify data of the electorate and non-collection of voter cards are some of the challenges the Commission is strategizing to address. This is why field workers from 18 states and the FCT, like Maria from Kaduna and Sile from Kogi states, are in Kano to make a holistic review of the 2017-2018 continuous voter registration exercise.
Of them, especially the scanner, so it will take some time before the machine can capture fingerprints, but it was later worked upon, and these are some of the things that we are here to discuss.
This workshop will improve our knowledge on how the next CVR is going to be.
The Commission has so far come up with new methodology for organization of continuous voter registration exercise, guidelines, process and procedure, as well as data collection and reporting ahead of the registration expected to commence from 28th of June 2021.
Time and opportunity for those who are qualified to come out and register.
Machines are quite new and with updated technology.
The registration exercise is expected to end September 2022 to enable compilation and registration for national voters in readiness for the February 2023 general elections. In Kano, Johannes Hassanborough, NTA News.
Kaduna State government says it will continue to support traditional institutions towards the sustenance of peaceful coexistence in their domains. Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai disclosed this while receiving the new Crown Chief of Zipak Chiefdom in Jama'a local government area. Muhammad Umar Ajingi tells us more.
This is the first time the traditional ruler is visiting Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai since he was crowned as the chief of Zipak. The visit is to appreciate the confidence reposed in him by his appointment as the paramount ruler and to reassure government of his resolve to preach peace among the people and carry everyone along in the interest of unity and progress.
It will be an inclusive thing because every single person that is part of the chiefdom is somebody that has something to give. And everyone will be carried along in whatever thing is done in the chiefdom. And like I mentioned today, if you look at the delegation that came with me, it's a reflection of the different ethnic nationalities that are in the chiefdom and people from with different status of faith. And that is the kind of inclusion that we are talking about.
Elated by the prevailing peace in Jama'a, Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai urged the elders to prevail on the people, particularly the youth, to sustain the peace.
In the 6 years, we have seen how the traditional institution can play a major role in preserving peace, promoting security, and peaceful coexistence, which Your Highness, you embody, and for which we are proud.
It is expected that these elders will go back to their community and extend the message of peace for the good of all. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
And that completes our package from Kaduna. Over to Ruth for more on Nationwide.
Very much Salamatu. The recent attack by unknown gunmen in Anambra State left INEC collating office in Oka in ashes, while the attack at B Division Police Station was repelled. Nwabufo Nwoye has details.
Scaled through the fence into the premises where they burnt the collection center and general store.
7 INEC operational vehicles and many power generators were also set ablaze. The Commissioner of Police, Anambra State, Chris Owolabi, said the police who repelled the attack recovered ammunition and 3 vehicles from the hoodlums. The Commissioner also said no arrest has been made, though investigation is still going on.
I can guarantee you specifically that there's no casualty on the part of the police. It was a 98% success for us.
INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Anambra State, Dr. Nkwachukwu said INEC sensitive materials were not affected.
The situation, you can see, is under control.
The hoodlums went further and attacked the B Division of Nigeria Police, Anambra State, where their attempt to bomb the station was foiled by the police. In Oka, Nwabufonwoye, NTA.
The Department of the State Services warns Nigerians about the fraudulent activities of one Jesu Tofumi Nifemi Alabi, who has created a Facebook group, SSS/DSS Recruitment 2019-2020, to deceive gullible job seekers. A statement by the Public Relations Officer of the DSS, Dr. Peter Afunaya, therefore advises the public not to fall for Alabi's job scams, as the DSS is not recruiting at the moment. The service enjoins job seekers to make recruitment inquiries from the service's headquarters in Abuja, its formations nationwide, or its official website, that is www.dss.gov.ng. Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu says it has come to his knowledge that some group of persons who held a rally under the cover of what they term secessionist agitations in Akure on Saturday, May 22nd, 2021, erroneously claimed to have had his support for the rally. A statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Richard Olatunde, says Governor Akeredolu acknowledges the rights of individuals and groups to hold peaceful rallies, and it must not be misconstrued to mean support for secessionist agenda or balkanization of the nation. The statement further adds that the Governor's opinion on the Akure rally or any other of its like is only to the effect that he is not opposed to any civil protest which is not in breach of the extant laws of the nation. He then added that Governor Akeredolu neither believes nor supports the quest for the Yoruba nation outside of Nigeria in the manner canvassed, and stands by a united and indivisible Nigeria as demanded by the Southern Governors Forum. Well, oftentimes it is reported that perpetrators of criminal activities sometimes escape justice due to the inability of the law to successfully investigate and prosecute them. Now, media practitioners in Abuja are undergoing training on how to acquire special skills required for the investigative reporting of crime, courtesy of a Germany-based group. Olabode Arewa reports.
Incidents of rape and forced marriages of women and girls during conflicts in Nigeria are common sights. Prominent among is the Leah Sharibu case since 2018 by the dreaded Boko Haram insurgents. Now the Wayamo Foundation is engaging judiciary correspondents on the fundamentals of the rule of law and transparency through objective and fact-based journalism about sexual predators and victims of gender-based violence.
We want to make sure that these crimes are addressed and they are not silenced.
The relevant laws we have, like the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, clearly stipulate that there should be there should be designated courts to try cases of rape and other sexual violence.
Ask yourselves this question: do you know the Nigerian Penal Code relative to the issues that you want to address? Do you background your stories appropriately with references in law?
The foundation also plans to scale up its interface with international investigators and prosecutors to successfully combat transnational crimes.
First of all, it's to strengthen the capacity of the journalist to report with knowledge and responsibility about justice-related issues.
The Complex Case Work Group or the Federal Ministry of Justice also made a presentation on the 1,000 case files of alleged Boko Haram insurgents currently under investigation, saying those indicted of crimes against humanity will soon be prosecuted. In Abuja, Olabodarewa, NTA News.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, has reiterated her commitment to ensuring a holistic approach to disaster response and prevention for the overall benefit of Nigerians. The minister stated this at the presentation of 2020 annual report by the National Emergency Management Agency and induction of 9 units of disaster risk reduction vehicles and 4 units of water purifier machines vehicles donated by the Chinese government. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
Disaster management across the globe has been an Herculean task which most times comes without prior notice, thereby making life more difficult for the people. Although experts across the globe have been engaging in the evolution of many techniques to prevent or reduce the consequences of the disaster whenever it occurs. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA in Nigeria, has been on top of its game in mitigating, rescuing and evacuating disaster victims, as well as providing relief materials to the affected persons. This 2020 annual report, as presented by the National Emergency Management Agency, captured all the interventions of the agency.
I want to admonish you to reflect on the content of the report and forge ahead to exceed the successes you have recorded, especially as we all align our duties to support the policy drive of President Muhammad Buhari.
Director General National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Vice Marshal Muhammadu Muhammad, expressed confidence that disaster management in Nigeria will continue to enjoy absolute commitment to better the lots of Nigerians.
NEMA delivered humanitarian support for 148 incidents, in addition to the monthly distribution of relief materials internally displaced persons in the Northeast.
As contained in this report, it is my expectation for the agency to work towards further improvement on achievement of last year.
There is one obvious fact, which is that Japan, Nigeria has many things in common, one of which is the occurrence of the natural disaster.
The occasion was used to commission the disaster management vehicles donated by the Japanese government. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
The Raw Materials Research and Development Council has released 100 million high-yielding tomato seeds to vegetable farmers in Ogun State as part of efforts to engender high-quality tomatoes all year round in the state. Ogun State Commissioner for Agriculture says the initiative will boost processing and consumption of tasty tomato varieties in the country. Yemi Dalemo reports.
Regarded as fruit and vegetable, tomato is high in potassium and the source of lycopene, which is also an antioxidant. Nigeria is the 14th highest producer of tomato in the world and has the comparative advantage and potentials to lead the world in tomato production and exports. Director General Raw Materials Research and Development Council, Professor Uzaini Ibrahim, said the need to step up production of tomatoes in the state through the release of high-yield varieties to farmers informed the presentation.
The focus of this particular program is for the farmer to be able to create a community seed banks.
Ogun State Commissioner for Agriculture Adiola Odedino, while distributing the seeds to vegetable farmers, says more than 10 hectares of land have been cleared in 15 different locations across the state, mainly for tomato cultivation.
We are set also to hold our space in tomato production. If you support farmers with free seed, you are going to be increasing their yield by 30%.
Vegetable farmers, in their response, commended the federal government and promised to support the success of agricultural transformation agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari.
It will definitely increase
my production. Getting a seed of that quantity, I'll put it into use, and I'm very sure of the yield I'll be getting from it.
Ogun State government says the gesture will encourage more farmers to go into tomato farming, not only to bring down the price, but also make it available all year round. In Abuja, Yemi Dalimo, NT News.
And we're done with Nationwide. Thank you very much for your time with us. But remember, we will not be tired to remind you that the fight against rape and rapists is still on. We want to defeat it. Thanks for your time. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News, and also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.